Look at these powder coated legs. Maple butcher's block. Look at that. Oh, good. Can you do all the hard work, please? Thanks.
Okay, we're about to start putting it together. We found really detailed, awesome instructions. So this will be a breeze, right?
Yeah, it's so nice. You got to see this. We've got like detailed instructions on assembling the table, installing the motor. You gotta love Sailrite. All right, here's some good news. Sailrite's been working on a kit based off their Fabricator machine that is set up for leather workers. And they want to get input from you, the leatherworking community. We almost didn't film this video because this is not to be mistaken for a promotional video about this machine. Sailrite specifically wants some constructive criticism and honest feedback, so that's what we're gonna give them. One thing I have to remind people a lot in the comments on videos like this is that there is no do-it-all machine. It's nearly impossible to have a machine that's comfortably set up to sew lightweight fabric and material and really heavyweight leather at the same time. So it's really important to find the right type or class of machine that you're gonna need for the majority of the work you wanna do. Okay, we gotta see if it spins the right way. Ow!
Oh my God.
Broke my shins, we're good. If it doesn't spin the right way, you can just reset it, but it should be spinning forward. We're good. This machine is designed for anyone looking to sew small leather goods like wallets, folios, whatever that is, passport covers, canvas bags, lightweight leather bags. For me, it would take place of any of the type of work that I would do on my Juki 1508. That's the class we're talking about here. I've mentioned this before in another video, but there have been a lot of people that have bought a Juki 1508 simply because it's the one I use, but it's not necessarily the one I would recommend, especially for a beginner. Based on my conversations with Sailrite, they want to build something that checks all of the main boxes for a leather worker. Something that's slow and torquey, something that's really smooth, something that's so simple and easy enough to operate that a beginner can hop on it and learn, yet comfortable and capable enough that you could run the production of your business with it. That's the big distinction from that Stitchmaster, which is now branded as the Leather Worker. I've already done a review on that one. It's super smooth, quality parts, love the machine. However, it's too small to do any real production on it. If you're just a hobbyist or just learning, then it'd be great. But the goal here is to create something that is great to learn on, but can also handle some serious scale production. And that it's ready to go right out of the box. I mean, you gotta assemble it, of course, but no major modifications that you have to make to it once it's set up. All right, let's get some first impression stuff down. Everything's feeling really good. Running the machine without the thread in it just to see how the foot moves and how everything sounds, and it's good. Also, when I set the machine up and turned it on for the first time, I noticed that it was on the speed setting of 30, which is almost at the fastest speed. I think the very fastest is 45 and the lowest is 5. So I brought it all the way back down to 5 just because I want to start with the slowest possible setting we could get at and see what kind of control we have at the bottom end. Let me bring you in closer. This is the slowest speed you can get right here. And so that's not bad, that's pretty slow. If you're more experienced for the machine, or maybe you do a lot more like canvas and fabric work, then that probably seems insane because that is pretty slow. But if you have a speed reducer paired with a slowed down servo motor, you can get it from a dead stop and creep right into the movement with a fluid, slow transition. And I remember that's how the Stitchmaster was, or now it's branded the Leather Worker by Sailrite. That machine has a little speed reducer on it that works really well, and that's one of the things I remember from that machine was how smooth it went right as you press the pedal. It goes right into a slow movement as opposed to dead stop into the slowest setting without the transition. That's one of the things you have to deal with in leather projects versus like fabric or canvas. Once that needle goes in, you have to commit. You can't undo a punched hole in the leather. But to digress a little bit, a lot of times on the tight corners and the detail stitching, I usually end up just walking it by hand anyway. So I gotta stop rambling until I get a piece of leather in here and actually try it out. But I think that slow speed with the ability to hand walk it is gonna be just fine. Just thinking out loud here. All right, so I'm going to learn the thread path for this thing, get it threaded up, put the bobbin back in, play around with it a little bit, just make sure I know what's going on, and then I'll grab some leather and we'll try sewing some stuff. fired up, ready to go. Gonna take this thing on a maiden voyage. This is like some 4 to 5 ounce, just oil tan leather. Keep some tension on the thread. Nice, it's pretty slow. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I can't imagine needing it slower than that. In fact, now that I'm testing it, I'll probably increase the top speed on this because this is still quite a bit slower. I think it'd be slow enough on the start, but I'd like to have a little bit more speed, especially on like canvas projects and stuff like that. But it feels really smooth, walks nicely, the stitch looks good. Whoop, fell off the edge there. I don't know if you can tell the difference, but I switched this foot out with a smaller, I guess it's called a zipper foot, but there's only one side as opposed to the 2 sides. I do that because I just like having more visibility when I'm sewing. Like, I learned that from the harness stitchers. The feet are really minimal and small, so you can see right where the needle's going. I don't like having too much metal down there, kind of blocking the view of what you're stitching. All right, let's try some back stitches. Beautiful. Yeah, the back of the stitch looks great. I haven't even messed with the tension at all, and it's spot on. All right, I just set it from 5 to 15. Let's see what that's like. Oh, way faster. Whew. If you just barely touch the pedal, you can still keep it slow on the bottom end, but now we have a little bit faster on the top speed. I'm really impressed that I haven't done almost anything to the machine after I got it set up. I didn't even touch the tension knob. I haven't changed the needle out. I haven't had to do anything, and it's already laying down a really beautiful stitch. Let's go over some of the specs on this machine. All right, here are some of the main specs. It has a 9/16 clearance under the presser foot. That's a little over 1/2 inch and more than enough for this class of a machine. It's got the compound walking foot, it's self-lubricating, it has the leg lift for the presser foot, it has a workhorse servo motor, and the space underneath the arm is 10.25 inches by 5 inches, pretty decent. It has the Class M bobbin, which is great. If you're using a heavier thread like 92 or 138, it's got a big enough bobbin that you're not gonna be winding a new one every 10 minutes. It can take a needle size anywhere from 10 up to 24. And for the thread, they recommend anywhere between V30 up to 138. It's got a 2-year warranty, and you can check their website for the details on that, but that's a huge bonus. So I want to talk about the package around the machine. It comes with a lot of goodies. It comes with a smooth bottom presser foot, and even better, it has a smooth feed dog, which as far as I know, this is the only machine on the market that comes with that. Usually you're kind of left to try and hunt that part down, a smooth feed dog for whatever machine you have, or the other alternative would be to grind down or machine down the teeth from the feed dog that you have. Either way, it's a lot more work than buying one that already has it on it. And the reason that's helpful is that a lot of times the teeth on the feed dog mark up the leather when it's pulling it through. So, good job, Sailrite. Okay, quick correction. That smooth feed dog was only on mine because it's something that they're considering including in the leather package down the road. So if you buy a Sailrite Fabricator right now, at the time this video comes out, you wouldn't get one included, but you could buy it separately. Sorry for that mix-up. Back to the other goodies. It came with some 92 polyester thread to test out. It came with a ton of different needle sizes, a bunch of the extra posi pin shears, which I haven't talked about much, but there's a little plastic pin that engages the balance wheel so that if you remove it, the wheel will spin freely without moving the walking foot. And that's good because you're gonna save some wear and tear on your machine when you're just winding a bobbin or whatever. Also, they redesigned that little pin. It's plastic now so that when you put it in, if the machine tries going over a zipper or something, instead of damaging the machine, it'll just break that little posi pin. It's a pretty good little modification they made. It comes with a really awesome installation instruction book and guidebook manual basically, but it's not like your normal manual that's just a headache to read through. I mean, it's really helpful, really good imagery and simple explanations. There's stuff in there that covers, you know, the equivalent of hours and hours and hours of research of me scratching my head sitting on forums and videos and horrible manuals trying to learn. Simple troubleshooting tips in there that would have saved me so much time. So this is one of the reasons I think this could be a really good machine for beginners. And I mentioned this on the Stitch Master video as well, to be able to have something that kind of walks through a lot of the troubleshooting and the setup and installation, which needle to use for which thread and for which material, that kind of stuff will save you so much time in the long run. I really wish I would have had the resources that this machine comes with when I had started. That's another big thumbs up from me. So anytime in the past that I've looked for a used sewing machine or been in the market for a new one, whatever, there's always this simple checklist that I like to make sure a machine has for the type of work I do. First of all, it has to be a walking foot. It's got to have enough presser foot clearance for the type of work you'll be doing with the machine you're looking at. So in this case, a little over 1/2 inch, more than enough for this type of work. I like to make sure it takes the thread that I need. I usually use about a 92 for my wallets. I like a really subtle stitch, but it can go up to 138. I'm kind of picky about the motor. I don't love the family motors as much that have the brakes that make it really jumpy and jerky when you're starting and stopping. I like to have a brushless motor, and I really love the workhorse servo motor that comes on this thing. So we can check that off. But usually when I'm looking for a machine, I want to make sure that I can either install my own speed reducer or make sure that it comes with a speed reducer paired up with that servo motor. And in this case, we don't have a speed reducer. They had a little speed reducer on the Stitch Master that I reviewed, and that machine definitely had a little extra smoothness on the bottom end. The transition from starting and the slowest speed was a lot smoother on that Stitch Master, or the Leatherworker as it's called now. But this machine does have an oversized balance wheel, this thing, which does change the gearing a little bit. That's basically what a speed reducer does. It has a little bit more control on the bottom end, and I really like the feel of it. I think for me, I'd be comfortable with it. It wouldn't be a deal breaker. However, I think that that is something I might recommend. I think that coming with a speed reducer would be a huge bonus, just to give the added smoothness and control on the bottom end. And then the last thing on my checklist is support, because I've bought machines before that I had zero help on, spent tons of time on forums and trying to hunt down weird manuals on eBay, you know, so that I know how to adjust the timing and things like that. So having a company in your corner that you can turn to with any issue you run into is so valuable to me. It saves a lot of time, saves a lot of headache, and anytime I've talked to the Sailrite crew, they've been super pleasant and helpful. All right, let's get into constructive criticism. There's honestly only a couple things that I'm gonna recommend here to Sailrite. Number one is the speed reducer. It's not a deal breaker. If it adds too much to the cost or too much of a headache during the installation process, then I could see an argument for not including the speed reducer. However, having it, I think especially for beginners and people learning, it's gonna be so much better to have that extra control on the bottom end and the slow speeds. But again, I would take it just as it is now. It works great. The second thing, it's a very minor one. Every other machine I've had has an on-off switch right here that's easy to see. It lights up when it's on so you don't forget it. And it's just a lot easier to reach. This one, you gotta reach down on the servo motor and turn it on and off. I know that seems real nitpicky. It's just a tiny little detail that would be nice to have. And come on, I can't sound too overly optimistic about this machine. I gotta have some constructive criticism here. Those are the only two things. The big pros about this machine, number one is the price point. If you put it in the context of all the other industrial machines in the world, it's right in the sweet spot of being a pretty good deal, especially given the quality of this machine. With the butcher's block, the powder-coated legs, the guidebooks, the troubleshooting tips, all the support that comes along with it, and the accessories, I think the price point is more than fair. And the last one is quality and style. This thing looks so good, and I know style's not super important for an industrial machine, but the quality of all the components, everything that you open up as you're assembling it, everything feels so durable and quality, and it doesn't feel like it was just pieced together from a bunch of different Chinese parts thrown into a box. It feels very purposeful. Everything's custom branded with Sailrite's logo, and every little piece, down to the rubber bumpers, the drawer, everything was really well thought out, and that says a lot for me. All right, I personally want to hear your thoughts on this, so leave some comments down there. I know that Sailrite's going to be reading them. This is your chance to give some feedback, and let's all collectively create a machine that's going to be great for the type of work that we do, something that can be awesome to recommend for beginners who don't know where to start, and you know, something that can also lead you right into a successful, sustainable business. So what are your thoughts on the machine? Let's get some real feedback in here. And none of that machine's too noisy garbage. I forgot about that. There were so many comments on the Stitchmaster video about the machine being too noisy, and I'm still blown away by that comment. If you're trying to sew in a nursing home or a library or next to your grandma while she's taking a nap, maybe you shouldn't be buying an industrial machine anyway. Stick to hand stitching, you know? That's hilarious to me. Give us some good feedback. This is our chance to work with a company who's really anxious to provide something for the community that the community actually wants, and not just taking a stab and guessing. They're working with us here, and I'm really impressed by Sailrite, really impressed by the product. The Sailrite Fabricator. Well done, Sailrite. Still need to build my workbenches. We still need to do some major organization. There's no way I could do a project right now. So we're gonna get this video up, get the conversation started about this machine, and then we're gonna dive into a real project on it. We'll make a bag, wallet, we'll go through the full gambit and continue on with the feedback and see what it can do. Thank you all so much for watching this. Whit and I are so genuinely excited to start making leather videos again. We really appreciate your support and all the kind words that you guys have been leaving in the comments. We see them, so I really appreciate it. Give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and project video coming soon. We'll see you then. Bye.